What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am the Renegade J.J. Williams, and today I'm going to be discussing from 1988, They Live, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper, Keith David, Meg Foster, Raymond St. Jacques, and George Buck Flower. Thank you for joining me, everybody, once again here on an all-new episode of Renegades Reviews. Today is going to be a good one. Today is going to be one of the favorites that I'm going to be talking about all month. You can already tell because the way I'm smiling. This one I have seen so many times, and I will continue to watch it over and over again because I don't usually cuss on my show, but I'm going to do this one. This movie is just that fucking awesome. And nobody can tell me otherwise. You know, They Live is arguably one of, if not the best movies ever made starring a wrestler. Let's get right into the story, man. Our hero for the movie is basically an unnamed drifter who wanders from place to place, and he eventually arrives in Los Angeles. It isn't until the credits that we're told the drifter's name is John Nada. Because if you actually watch the movie, not once do they call him by any kind of name. Upon his arrival in LA, he sees a street preacher, and he's warning a group of people that they are using the rich and the powerful to control humanity. And so Nada takes on a job at a construction site where he meets Frank, another one of the construction workers. After work, Frank takes Nada to a shanty town, which, if you don't know what a shanty town is, it's basically a town comprised of like shacks and makeshift homes where a lot of undesirables and homeless people would live. The shanty town has a soup kitchen, so Nada's able to get a hot meal, place to stay, etc. And Frank introduces him to the town leader by the name of Gilbert. That evening, television broadcasts are being taken over by a hacker. And the man on the TV claims that scientists have discovered signals that are enslaving the population, which keeps them in a dreamlike state. They say the only way to stop it is to destroy the signal at the source. Now, while watching the broadcast, some of the residents of the shantytown complain of headaches. Nada sees the street preacher and Gilbert go into a church across the street. And he kind of discreetly follows them. What's going on over here? Once inside, he discovers that there's a meeting with the hacker and some other individuals going on inside. Nada sees some scientific equipment and cardboard boxes. He overhears Gilbert worrying that the lenses that they made won't be enough without other strong people to help them. The street preacher, who's blind, senses Nada and catches him there. But Nada's able to safely get out without hurting anybody, starting any trouble. That evening, the shanty town is destroyed by a police raid. The police also seize the church, removing the hacker and street preacher and proceeding to beat them. The next day, Nada returns to the church and retrieves one of the boxes. Inside it, he discovers the box is full of sunglasses. He takes one pair and hides the rest of the box in a nearby trash can. Nada puts the glasses on, and his entire view of the world turns to black and white instead of color. They also reveal subliminal messages that are hiding in the media, telling the mass population to obey, consume, conform, and reproduce. The glasses also reveal that some of the world's population are aliens with skull-like faces. Nada goes into a supermarket and an elderly lady bumps into him. The glasses reveal to him that she's an alien, and he begins to make fun of her alien appearance. Classic Piper here. You've ever seen Piper on the microphone insulting people? Amplify it by about 10 because this is a Hollywood motion picture. He is just tearing this lady up. If memory serves me correctly, he even calls her formaldehyde face at some point. Well, clearly she can tell that he can see her true appearance. So she alerts other aliens via her wristwatch that, there's somebody out there that can see them. Starts giving a description of him. That way everyone's alerted to who he is and his physical, appearance. He leaves the store and he's stopped by two officers who are aliens. He kills them and steals their weapons. Nada then goes into the bank and he observes that a bunch of the employees as well as customers are aliens. And this is where he delivers the classic John Nada line. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I am all out of bubblegum. He then proceeds to open fire and kill several of the aliens. He escapes by taking Holly Thompson, an employee of Cable 54, hostage. He has her take him to her house. Once they're at Holly's house, he tries to get her to try on a pair of the sunglasses and expose her to what he's been exposed to. She doesn't want any part of it. She knocks him out of the window and calls the police. Nada then returns to where he hid the sunglasses, try and retrieve them, but it's already been picked up by a garbage truck. Climbs into the garbage truck to retrieve it, and then he goes to meet Frank to pick up his paycheck. And Nada continuously tries to get Frank to put on these sunglasses so he can expose him to what he sees. Frank refuses. Frank wants nothing to do with Nada at this point because he feels that Nada's a murderer. And it leads to one of the greatest fights in cinema history. An almost 6-minute brawl between Frank and Nada. I know I've mentioned it before when I was on Renegade Recap talking about this, kind of hyping up this was going to be here. This was the inspiration for the Jimmy versus Timmy cripple fight episode from South Park. Seriously, I think there's even a video on YouTube, split screen, where you can watch the fights going side by side. Only thing different is the dialogue. But the fights, the camera angles, the punches, shot for shot is identical. Once the brawl is over, Frank is exhausted, and this finally allows Nada to put the sunglasses on him, showing him the truth that's out there in the world. And once Frank sees the aliens for himself and a flying saucer, he's down to help Nada with whatever he needs. Frank and Nada go and find Gilbert, who takes them to a meeting for the anti-alien movement. And there they're given contact lenses to replace the sunglasses, making them a little bit less conspicuous. Because, I mean, if you got contact lenses in, it looks just like your normal eyes. There's nothing big and bulky to give you away like the sunglasses. At the meeting, they also learn that the aliens are using global warming to make the Earth more like their own home planet. That the aliens are depleting Earth's resources for personal gain. That the aliens are bribing humans to be collaborators, partners in the conspiracy, by promoting them to positions of power. When Holly arrives at the meeting, she apologizes to Nada for what happened prior and gives him information about the signal and where it's transmitting from. The meeting gets raided by the police, and a majority of the attendees are killed. Frank, Holly, and Nada are able to survive and scatter. Nada and Frank get cornered by the police, but they escape when they accidentally activate an alien wristwatch, which opens up a portal for them. And the portal ends up taking Nada and Frank to the alien spaceport, where they discover a meeting going on between the aliens and the collaborators. And they're celebrating the elimination of the terrorists. As in their mind, the anti-alien movement are terrorists. Frank and Nada are approached by a former drifter who is now a collaborator. And the man gives Frank and Nada a big grand tour of this facility and ends up leading them to the basement of Cable 54, the source of the signal, which is being protected by armed guards. Nada and Frank are able to locate Holly and fight their way to the transmitter on the roof, but Holly kills Frank, revealing that she is in fact a collaborator all along. Nada kills Holly, but he is then dealt a fatal blow by the aliens in a helicopter up above. Nada gives the aliens the middle finger as he dies, and now that the transmitter has been destroyed, the aliens are revealed to the world. They are no longer in hiding. Everybody can see them, no glasses, no contacts, nothing. They're fully exposed. And the world discovers that aliens were among us all along. Whew. That's a lot to take in, boy. And to help me process this, to help you process this, is a man who needs no introduction. He is the owner, operator of the Jeff Meacham Network. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Jeff MRF and Meacham. Thank you, Jeff, for joining me. Welcome to the show. I see you've got your John Nada shades on for the occasion. Have you come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass? That is the main question.
I have come here to reveal I have a 3-year-old bottle of bubblegum and kick ass. I'm not going to drink the bubblegum. Yes, it is I, good old JM, as JJ said, the great intro he always gives me. You know, it's funny hearing you recap it after I just watched it and remembering how I felt pretty much shot for shot at the end of Halloween 3. Because the doctor gets everything shut down except that one station, and it fades to black. You know what happens next? Very much what happens here. Like, you know that John's done his job, but you don't know what happens next. Like, do the aliens take over and destroy us all? Do we take over the aliens and destroy them all? We don't know. Great friggin' flick. Very, very different feeling compared to the one on my birthday that you and I did together, The Holds Barred, because admitted Hulkamaniac, No Holds Barred's a hot mess. It's terrible. But this one is just so good. And people seem to forget that, you know, not only is it a movie starring a wrestler, it's a horror movie by John Carpenter starring a wrestler. That's the key to this, the awesomeness of this movie. You've got Piper. Okay.
I was going to say, I don't know if I'd classify it as your traditional horror film.
No.
Definitely science fiction, though.
Definitely sci-fi, definitely thriller to a certain extent. I mean, it's classified in the horror sections in most things you shop on these days. So, yeah. And I get that because it's John Carpenter and there's creepy things
John Carpenter tends to lead people to think horror, but
right.
You know,
but
when you think horror, you think like slasher, you think
right.
John's other creation, Michael Myers, you think Freddy, you think Jason.
Right.
This isn't that type of horror. It's very much a psychological thriller.
It very much
if
is.
Anything.
Yeah, and I mentioned Halloween 3 a few minutes ago. The revelation of Holly's true nature very much reminds me of, I can't remember the female lead's name in Halloween 3, the one that her father gets picked up. She turns to be an android. If you haven't seen Halloween 3, sorry. It's very much the same thing. It's like, no, you do. It sucks. And again, how are these wrestlers getting these hot leading ladies? We saw Joan Severance with Hulk a few days ago. Now we're seeing it's crazy. Good for them, man.
Hey, you know, something about being a wrestler, man.
That's it, brother. Love it. I love it. But yeah, I really, again, I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I've enjoyed it ever since I have seen it. It is a great psychological thriller, like you said, and usually. No hidden thing here. Prior to meeting Jay here, hidden, psychological thrillers and horror wasn't my cup of tea at all. And, so I hadn't seen They Live until I met Jay. And I'm very disappointed in myself I waited as long as I did, because it's a very, very good film. There's a reason that Roddy felt strong enough to walk away from wrestling for a while, because this was his starting point.
Well, Hell Comes to Frogtown was his starting point. Both these movies, believe it or not, came out in 1988. Hell Comes to Frogtown did come out first. It came out in the beginning part of 88.
Right, but wasn't this one made first, though, I thought?
It may have been filmed first.
Right.
That I'm not 100% on, but I know Frogtown was released first.
Yes.
So, it's...
and you covered Frogtown, and good on you. Let's just leave it where it is. Yeah. But it's kind of the opposite of starting where we started Hulk. Because starting Hulk with No Holds Barred, that makes sense because it's this first starring vehicle, so it makes sense. But Hulk movies are going to get better. I promise, guys. The next 20 days, it's going to get better. I promise. Roddy, with all respect to Roddy, he really didn't get better than this as far as his acting career. He still did good stuff, but not great stuff like this. This is just too damn good, and it's. I mean, like I said, I go to the freaking novelty store up here, up in El Valley, and find bubblegum soda with Roddy's face on it, because that's how impactful this movie was and still is to this day. So
yeah, I still want to get me a couple bottles of that just to have,
right,
throw into my refrigerator,
Yeah, I would tell you this: both my sister and I have had a swig of it. Yeah, it tastes about as good in No Holds Barred as a movie. Let's put it that way. Terrible stuff. And that one was fresh and cold out of the refrigerator. This one now probably would kill me here on the spot. It's been here for a minute. So, but her and I each have one in our house just displayed it because it's Roddy, because we love Roddy. So
yeah, exactly. But man, I mean, and And at the end of the day, the message and they live.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, that's what I really want to get into here. The subliminal messages in media and the way that the media controls the population. You know, has there been any better example of it than the last 4 or 5 years? Like, let's
No.
time out for a second and put personal feelings of how you feel about 45 to the side. The media controlled so much when it came to him. It was very, very hard pressed to turn on a news channel and find somebody saying something positive. For 4 to 5 years, they were spewing to make the population feel a way about him.
And even before he took office, even before he was a thing in politics in the first place, I've noticed that politics especially has devolved exponentially since we were in high school and early college years. Granted, you got a few years on me, but even still, it really started to get nasty, like nasty toward the end of the Clinton administration. And then it's been a train wreck ever since with the media controlling
Agreed.
our view of politics.
Agreed.
The whole sensationalization of the 2000 election sticks in my mind. Quite honestly, it even goes back further than that. The sensationalization of the O.J. Simpson murder trial, like that was on every damn day on our channels, whether it was watching the news or whatever. It didn't matter. We got our OJ dose every day. It's like, oh my God, I just want to watch my cartoons. Like, for real. It's been heading down that path for the better part of 25 years. So
yeah,
this movie is way ahead of its time. And
seriously, because this movie was 6 years before OJ trial.
yeah. So yeah, this is really, it's very much like The Simpsons predicting everything. This movie called it full on the spot. And I find it ironic that the public face of the Obey campaign, which is totally different from this movie, is Andre.
Yeah.
I just found that so funny after seeing this movie again. It's like, wow, like it went from that to Andre being, I mean, totally different presentation, obviously.
It's like you would have thought it would have been Piper's face.
Right, exactly. But because Andre was Andre, and because he was such a, I mean, it's before, Hulkamania took over the world or whatever. If you thought of professional wrestling back then, you thought of Andre the Giant because he was the most famous, most not overpaid, most well-paid wrestler in the world. So it only makes sense for, the movement to pick somebody like that. But you're right. When you think of this movie and you think of all that this movie tried to show us 35 years ago, no, 30, no.
32, 33.
Yeah, 33 years ago. How are we not aware more than we are now? How is that a thing?
We're still in that dreamlike state, man. There's those of us that are woke. There's those of us that see what is going on.
Right.
And don't watch regular television as a result.
Right.
Like myself.
Yeah.
I haven't watched regular TV
as long as I know you, for sure.
Since Once Upon a Time went off the air.
Yeah,
and I didn't even watch the 6th and 7th season of that.
No, I
fell off.
And to be fair, I remember watching religiously on delay later, not on Sunday nights at 8:00. You and I, we would watch it delayed later, so we didn't even watch it in real time. So I think your watching regular TV predates my moving down there, which is going back 10 years now, as we're going to talk about, later this month with our anniversary coming up.
Possibly.
So yeah, that's.
But that's just because I haven't been that interested in the stuff that Hollywood puts out.
Well, no.
Like, I mean, whether it's TV or even movies, a lot of the times, like, there's very little that hooks me.
Right.
And if something hooks me, there's very little that keeps my interest.
Right. And see, that's the thing.
I fell off during the first season of The Mandalorian.
Right.
So I didn't even watch season 2 to get the huge, shocking reveal in the final episode. I mean, I know about it.
Right.
The whole freaking world knows about it because the internet can't shut up for 24 hours.
Full disclosure, I still haven't seen season 2 at all. Had no idea, but I know what you're talking about because, like you said, internet keep. And that's the thing. The social media is now the aliens. They're the ones controlling what we say, what we do, what we hear, what we don't hear.
So, right now they're trying to cancel Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. Like, what the frick? That makes no sense to me. It's one of those things. I've heard the phrase cancel culture a lot. And
but it's only been in the last year.
Right.
That it's really been a thing.
Right. I mean, when you go back, if you're a wrestling fan like I am, if you go back a year and you start to see when the whole speaking out movement started on the wrestling side of things and how everybody was culture canceled. Like, I mean, not to try to throw everybody on the bus here, but an entire promotion had to cancel one event because Joey Ryan's name was on it. And they didn't think it would be as big a impact as it was, but people went nuts that anybody bothered to hire Joey. It's like, so he can't ever do anything. He can't ever make $1 again. I'm not advocating what he did at all. Okay. But he has.
Or didn't do because he hasn't been found guilty yet.
Right. He whatever he allegedly did or not do, he has come out and said flat out that it was wrong, and he admitted what he was wrong, and then he denounced what wasn't wrong and what he said. And if the guy wants to make a buck, you don't have to go to his shows, you don't have to go see him wrestle, but don't let. But the point I was trying to make is we shouldn't allow one person or two person opinion to sway our entire way of thinking. And that's very much what the aliens do here, which is why they are, keeping us in a la 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 world. And we're supposed to be okay with it because that's what makes things easy. And it's not. And I again, the message sounds very firm, very loud to this day, like you said, 31 years later, that culture cancel has always been a thing. So I don't the point of this movie. I mean, you gotta remember John Carpenter's behind it. He's always been one to, stir the mainstream shit, for lack of a better term. So he's always one to get people's feathers ruffled. So good on John for doing that. Good on John for making us see outside our comfort zone, much like he did with Michael, much like he did with his other thriller prior to Michael. He always made our tick go right up in our face. He's always been good at that. John's one of the masters of that, and this movie does it very well because a lot of the twists and turns you don't see. Especially with Holly at the end. I mean, I never saw that coming the first time. I was like, son of a bitch. So it sucks. And whoever was the fight choreographer needs a lifetime achievement Oscar because, man, was that good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, that's arguably one of the best hand-to-hand combat fight scenes in movie history.
Absolutely.
So many fight scenes, these days involve guns or knives or some kind of kaboom. Just two guys getting down and dirty. I wonder if Piper had any input into the choreography, being a professional wrestler.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, honestly. And it reminded me a lot of why a lot of hockey fans fall in love with the fighting aspect of the sport, because I mean, these guys just went toe to toe, man. First, was it 6 minutes? You said?
Just about, yeah. Some reports say 5.5.
Right.
I should have timed it myself, but I was so caught up in the movie and watching the action.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, as hockey fans, you see guys tussle for about 30 seconds at most, but they're getting some pretty good shots in. And and boxing nowadays is whatever, because it depends which fighter you catch on which given day and how the fight's gonna go. But this for 1988, it very could have easily been choreographed by Rocky's people. That's how good it came off to me. that it could have very easily been Sylvester Stallone and his team going, okay, this and this and this and this and this, and it laid out perfectly. It was so perfect that Trey and Matt, like you said, with South Park, decided to mimic it shot for shot, frame by frame. It's it. When you think about how far South Park went to emulate everything in pop culture, how was they when they did that movie? When they did that episode? At least 20 years old by then, or maybe a little less. 15, we'll say.
Yeah,
15 years later or so, Trey and Matt are going, that was a damn good fight scene. Throw it in there. We'll lay it out step by step. And it came off, so, like you said, there's a YouTube video of it going frame by frame. It's just ridiculous how good it is.
Okay.
So what would you give this movie for your star rating, Jeff?
Definitely higher than No Holds Barred. Sorry, Terry.
That's not saying much.
I know, right? Well, better than Frogtown. Okay, if that's the bar, time to quit. Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much. If you understood that, you're a wrestling fan. I love you for that shit. Very good. You know what?
Does that make me Sheamus or Cesaro?
Well, I'm the ginger, so
okay. I guess I could be Cesaro then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sheamus has more hair.
Every time I come on your damn show, I see. That's all right. Honestly, I mean, this is arguably the best movie in your entire month here. I really feel that way about this movie, so I'm going to give it a 5.
Wow.
Yep.
5 stars for Mr. Meacham. Wow.
I enjoy this movie that much, where it's one of those where I could have it in my rotation where, okay, if I just want to grab a disc every now and then just to put something on, I'll grab They Live because it's that entertaining to me to watch just because.
That's pretty high praise. I don't think I'm going that high because while it is a very, very damn good movie, right, I don't know if it's the best one I'm going to get to this month. You have to remember, I do have a movie coming up that was nominated for Oscars.
I know that. And I adore that.
And it will be featured on replay on your channel as well. So
yes, it will. Very end of the month. Yeah.
I definitely, it's my favorite that we've done, that we probably will do.
Yeah.
There's only 1 or 2 movies that I can even think are in close contention as far as being my favorite this month.
Right.
But I'm going to go a little bit less than you. I'm going to go 4 out of 5.
Okay. And keep in mind, the same day the wrestler, well, it's the wrestler, folks, goes up on your channel first, then my channel at 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, 5 Pacific. It's the special episode of Wrestling Rewind with me, Greg, and whoever calling the simulcast 20 years later. That's going to be a major traffic day for everybody. I'm so excited for that.
Oh,
day.
yeah.
I'm stoked, man. I'm so happy it's going to happen. It's a big week.
Me too.
I mean, we got the end of WCW that Tuesday. We've got everything going on that whole week. It was supposed to be leading to WrestleMania. That ain't going to happen, obviously, now. But we have our Casa anniversary that Monday, the 21st. It's going to be such a special, 22nd, excuse me. It's going to be such a special week for he and I and for everybody involved. I'm so looking forward to it.
Definitely. But yeah, like I was saying, 4 stars, Piper, Keith David, that right there is enough of a selling power for me. John Carpenter, the fight scene, the iconic line. Can you come up with a line any more iconic from a movie with the wrestler? No.
Not starring a wrestler, no.
No.
I mean, heavy feature, maybe, but starring, no, not at all.
Like that line has transcended to where even non-wrestling fans are Captain America going, I understood that reference. Yeah. There is a soda based off of it. Not necessarily a good soda,
I say I ain't saying it's tasty or nothing, but it does exist.
but there is a soda based on it.
Now, if they had the Roddy Piper actual, like the freaking little bubblegum packs you used to get with your baseball cards, I'd be on that like flies on shit. I'd be all over that because that's perfect marketing right there. Because then once you run out, it's like, time to kick some ass. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go out there on social media, guys. Let's get those hashtags trending. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios. Hashtag Renegades Reviews. Hashtag Renegade Returns. Hashtag Jeff Meacham Network. And of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag Statboy Approved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today.
Always shenanigans on our channel. No question about that.
Always shenanigans. We love the shenanigans.
We do indeed.
Our viewers love the shenanigans.
And lest we forget to point out, because we do it when we do dads, we never do it on this show. This is JJ's opinion of They Live. This is my opinion of They Live. Everything you've heard the last 35 minutes is subjective. Very simple, guys. If you have a dissenting opinion, let us know down here. If you agree 100% with us, let us know anyway. We love getting that shit propped up. We love that ego boost up. Yeah, we got that right. Yeah. Very good. But we love it more when you don't.
I'm hoping that this will be a heavily viewed episode.
Yes. I hope for heavy conversation because a lot of people don't go out of their comfort bubble, even when it comes to Roddy in this movie, because people either really love it or they really don't. And there's not a whole lot of middle ground. And I've always been fascinated by that because I'm not a horror guy or a thriller guy, but I love this damn movie. So I don't know. I'm curious what the response is going to be as we go along here during the premiere. We're curious to see what's going on over here.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope I'm off that day so that I can watch the comments.
Yeah.
But like Jeff said, what do you guys think of the movie? Leave your thoughts in the comment box. You know me. I get back to you guys. I seem to have no life between working, watching movies, doing my show, writing reviews for my show, sleeping a couple of hours, repeat cycle, try to eat and take a shower in there somewhere in between all that, But let me know what you guys think. I always get back to you guys. I encourage feedback. Maybe your comment will get read on this month's edition of Renegade Recap. If that's not enough of a incentive to leave me a comment, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know what? If we do it on Wednesday or Thursday. I always forget what day we do that this year of the month. Or is it the last day of something, or what are we doing this month? What's your day?
We don't know yet because I don't know my schedule yet.
Okay, well, whatever day it ends up being, it'll be live because we always do that show live, and we're right in the thick of everything over on my network as far as wrestling goes because WrestleMania is on the horizon. We've got Fastlane in about a week and a half from now, so it's really gonna start picking up steam around here on all our channels. JJ's channel, my channel, Greg's channel. They're
Big G's channel.
What's that?
Big G's channel.
Exactly. Everybody's picking up steam because everybody wants to see as much wrestling stuff as they can because WrestleMania is just down the road here, and we recognize that at Casa D18 Studios, which is why we did a wrestling month because WrestleMania only happens once a year.
Yeah.
Despite feeling like WrestleMania takes all year to get broadcast, it only comes once a year.
It runs 2 days now.
It's 2 days this year. So yeah, they're saying it won't be next year, the year after. I don't mind if it's in 2 days in 2023 because that's more live WrestleMania for me. I'm okay with that. But realistically, it's a lot to do, but we love it, which is why JJ, our movie buff, is doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. Big G, Greg, everybody's doing their own thing. But we all come together on April 10th, and it's magic, baby. WrestleMania is here, and it's coming up soon. So stay tuned for everything that this guy's got coming. He's got great last 21 days of this month. My goodness. It's good stuff ahead.
April 10th, so 1 month from today.
Exactly.
Will be WrestleMania.
Day one, man. I'm excited.
I know. I'm actually excited. That tells you something.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
So, thank you guys for watching an all new episode of Renegades Reviews. Make sure you tune in tomorrow exclusively here on the Casa D18 Studios channel when I will be discussing 90 Feet from Home, starring Shawn Michaels, Eric Roberts, Adam Hampton, and many, many others. I honestly do not know a whole lot about that movie. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm intrigued because it looks like it'll be a very dramatic performance just based off of the graphic for old HBK. Should be a good one. So until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Meacham. And I will see y'all next time.